this afternoon I'd like to play a little bit of Mark Twain exhibit. And I think a little later here, if I'm not mistaken, a fellow named Samuel Clemens is going to come out and share some things with you. And I believe that's who he is. He looks like him. So, and I'd like to share my favorite Mark Twain quote before I play some music. Mark Twain was once talking about marriage, and he says, folks, you know, marriage is a good thing. If you marry a good wife, you'll be happy. If you don't, you'll become a philosopher. That's my favorite quote from Mark Twain. Well, anyway, the most famous composer probably in this era that we're talking about is a fellow named Scott Joplin. And he wrote a lot of wonderful rag music, and some of the musicologists back in his day considered him to be a real genius in his composition. So I'd like to play some music mostly by him. And back in the 1970s, I believe it was, there was a movie that was released, and it was called The Sting. And this song here may be his most famous rag. It's from that movie. It's called The Entertainer. Mistakes basically made when rags are performed in our modern day. The first one is most pianists play the rags faster than they're supposed to be played. You know, just to kind of show off and dazzle everybody. Most of the rags were meant to be played a little more slowly than they're usually performed. The second thing is, a lot of pianists try to play a rag with a swing beat. And swing music didn't really come along till maybe 40 years or so after the rags were popular. So if you hear a piano player playing like this, that's not right. So when you hear someone do a rag, and if they're not doing it right, you can bust them the next time. The other most famous rag, I think, that Scott Joplin wrote is one that's fun to play. I'd like to try it for you right now. It's called the Maple Leaf Rag. Thank you. There were other composers during that era, of course, that wrote some very, very nice things. And right now I'd like to play a piece written by a fellow named Mr. Joseph Lamb. And he wrote a rag called The Sensation. Saying rags, a lot of times you play too fast. Here's a piece that was written by Scott Joplin, and this is maybe my favorite of all the pieces he wrote. It's a rag called, of all things, Her Favorite. And many of the Scout Joplin tunes are named after trees of all things. So you've got, and various other kinds of names. You've got the peacherine rag, and you've got the maple leaf rag. And here's a piece called the sycamore rag. So much. Well, I do believe it's time for a very special personality to come out on the stage and share some things with you. I know you're going to be entertained and you're going to enjoy this gentleman. Is Mr. Samuel Clemens in the proximity here? Yes, there he is, folks. Mr. Samuel Clemens.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here today. You know, I am an old original Missouri boy. I was born in this state back in a little town called Florida, Missouri in 1835. Just a little backwoods community there. Tiny town, 100 people live there. I increased the population by 1%. Which is more than many of the great men could have done for a place, but I did it there. Just goes to show I could have done it anywhere. But then when I was 4 years old, my family were moved to Hannibal. Nonetheless, my mother's sister, Patsy, and her husband, John Quarles, kept a farm out there by Florida, about 4 miles away, and I returned there every summer until I was 12 or 13 years old. And it was a wonderful place for a boy to spend his summers, because in the country, you know, you've got all the wildflowers, creeks running through the property, grapevines to swing on. Back in those days, of course, when there was field work to be done, all of the neighbors would cooperate. And I recall one time that my Uncle John was putting up some hay. Several of the neighbors came by to help. And I was out in the field too. I was just as high. And the men were there back then. They just shot the hay up into big piles. Uncle John was out on the buck rake. There may be some men here in the audience knows what a buck rake is. Anybody that's, well, for the benefit of, if you don't, it's got big wheels and curved spring feet. You drive it with a team. You know, Uncle John used mules. Well, he's out there on the buck rake and he brings in a jag of hay. And as he draws near, he says to me, "Sam, I don't want you fooling with this mess of hay. Let the roadmen attend to it. Or I think there's a rattlesnake in there." Well, we could hear it kind of buzzing around. Well, the men took their forks and they started lifting that says, it's almost noon. Let's have our repast. Maybe when we return, the snake will have expired. So we agreed. When we came back, sure enough, the snake was dead. But you know, where it bit that pitchfork handle caused the thing to swell up so much it took all 8 men to load it on a wagon. Well, they took it down to a lumber yard and had it cut up into lumber. And a man named Green bought that lumber and built a house out of it. But later on that year, he went to paint that house. And he thinned his paint down with turpentine. Well, any fool knows turpentine will draw poison out by expose that thing back down to the size of a pitchfork handle, killed his whole family. That's how I recall it anyway. You know, not too long ago, someone asked me the first lie I ever told. Well, that is too far back. It is rooted in the shrouds of antiquity. No, I don't recall it. But I remember the second one with crystal clarity. I was 3 days old at the time. And I had just discovered that if I were stuck by a diaper pin and advertised the fact, there would be a lot of extra cuddling and some extra rations too. So I fell victim to the temptation. I advertised a diaper pin when there wasn't any. Up until about 1863, every child born in a civilized nation fell victim and told that lie, but then the safety pin came along and broke up the game. Well, I stayed in Hannibal until I was around 17 years old. My father passed from this world when I was shade past 11. And so I had to go to work early. I started out as what they call a printer's devil. And that's just a boy who learns how to set type in a printing office. And when I learned enough skill, about the time I was 17, I took off as a tramp printer. And I traveled around various places. When I turned 19, I was in Cincinnati. And I come across an article in the newspaper. It said a couple of fellows, cartographers, map makers, had gone to South America in order to chart the Amazon River and had failed to finish their task. Well, I just says to myself, I'll go down there and do the job. I'll finish it. That's all the thought I give to it. I had $28 in my pocket. I paid $14 for a packet on the Paul Jones, which was a riverboat. It's my first excursion on a riverboat. And I sailed down to New Orleans. When I got there, I found the next ship that was chartered for South America wasn't due to leave for about 12 years. So, I laid siege on Horace Bixby, who was the pilot of the Paul Jones, and after a while, he gave up and took me on as his apprentice. I'll never forget the first time we backed that boat out of port. We had gone just a short ways upriver. Bixby says to me, he's at the wheel and I'm standing right beside him. He says, this is 6 Mile Point. Well, it was agreeable information. I saw no reason to challenge him, so I just kept still. A little while later, he says, this is 9 Mile Point. I said, all right. Conversation was starting to get a little monotonous. A little while later, he says, this is 12 Mile Point. Well, by now, I was beginning to wish he'd changed the subject. But no, in that same song type of voice, a little while later, he says, now we cross across and rest these cicada trees. Well, it went on like that for a while. We're going upriver steadily. He turns to me and he says, what's the first point we passed coming out of the port of New Orleans? Well, I was gratified to be able to answer promptly, and I did. I said, I don't know. He says, well, what's the second point? I don't know. Look here. What do we because he ran over the steering oar of a trading scow. Well, of course, the traders just shot up a red-hot volley of profanity. And it was fortunate for me because my captain was able to open the window and let his whole load loose on them. And the farther we went along and the farther away they drifted, the higher and the more potent his adjectives got. When he finally shut that window, he was empty. Why, you could have drug a seine through him and not caught enough curses to disturb your grandmother with. As he turns to me and he says, "My boy, you've got to get a little memorandum book, and every time I tell you something, you must write it down." Well, that was dismal news to me because my memory had never been loaded with anything but blanks. But I did learn the river, and I've become a pilot. I thought I would stay on there all of my days, but the Civil War came along, bust up the traffic, and I left the river. About that time, my brother Orion took a job as secretary of the new territory of Nevada. I went west with him. We got on a stagecoach in St. Joe, Missouri. 21 days later, we got off in Carson City, Nevada. And I tried my hand at silver mining for a while. It's very hard work. I owned 100 silver mines, but I was starving to death. But to extract silver, if you don't know, I'll explain it to you. Silver appears in quartz crystal as a thin blue line running through the center of tons and tons of rock. And you have to pulverize that rock to get the silver out. Well, I was doing such a poor job at that I finally I was about to starve. I took a job at a quartz mill. And a quartz mill is a pulverizing mill. It's run off of steam. And you load the crystal quartz at the beginning of it, and it goes down the conveyor belt, and these hammers crush the rock, and then it comes out as gravel and sand on the far end. Well, my job was shoveling tailings, meaning I'd go to the end of the mill, and I'd get a bucket of this sand, and I'd take it back to the front of the mill so they could run it through again. And I was the most careful worker they ever had. Everybody said so. I wouldn't go recklessly carrying buckets of sand up to the front of the mill. Now, I would think about the absolute best way to carry that sand. And sometimes I would start out with a bucket of sand, and I'd start thinking about a better way to do it. And I'd get so excited, I'd stop and I'd think harder, and I would get more and more excited, and finally I'd just fall asleep. Almost always fall asleep when I'm excited. Well, one day I was sitting there, sleeping and thinking, and the foreman comes up and he kicks me on the boot and he says, "What are you about?" And I jumped up and I said, "I finally got it. I finally know the most efficient way to move this sand from one end of the mill to the other." And oh, you should have seen his face. He was the happiest man in the universe. I explained it to him. I said, "What you want to do is you want to get yourself a cast iron pipe about 13 and a half feet in diameter, about 45 feet long, and proper up 35 feet in the air. And then you've got a revolving belt that goes up the same distance, run off the excess steam from the mill. And there's a revolving chair in that belt, and I'll sit in that chair, and you'll have a Chinaman down there scooping up with a bucket of sand and passing it to me as I come along. And then when I get to the top, I'll open that pipe and it'll slide right down." Well, he was so awestruck by that idea, so impressed, that he fired me right on the spot. He said I had too much talent to be frittering away in a quartz mill. Well, about that time I took a post in Virginia City as a reporter. And I walked 130 miles to get there. But you know, news was slow in Virginia City back then. We reporters didn't have much to do. We just stand around and try to borrow 50 cents off each other. But then one day, a wagon train load of immigrants comes into town. And they'd been in a scuffle with the Indians and had got the worst of it. So we all went running over there to get a list of their dead and wounded. And about the time we finished up, here comes another wagon train load of immigrants. And we went over there, but they hadn't had any difficulties. But I cross-examined their chief immigrant and found out they'd be passing right on through and not come back to cause trouble. So I took their names and added them to my list She's perfectly unknown to me and simply has signed herself Maria Aurelia, which may possibly be a fictitious name, but no matter. This poor girl is heartbroken by the difficulties she's encountered and so confused by the conflicting counsel, misguided friends, and insidious enemies that she does not know what course to pursue in order to extricate herself from the difficulties which she seems almost hopelessly involved. Now, in this dilemma, she has turned to me, supplicates for my guidance and instruction, moving outwards to touch the heart of a statue. Now, here's her sad story. She says that when she was 16 years old, she met and loved with all the devotion of a passionate nature a young gentleman from New Jersey named Williamson Breckenridge Carruthers, who was some 6 years her senior. They were engaged with the free consent of their friends and relatives. And for a season, it appeared as though their career was destined to be characterized by an immunity from sorrow, which is beyond the usual lot of humanity. But at last, the tide of fortune turned. Young Carruthers became infected with smallpox of a virulent type. And when he recovered from his illness, his face was pitted like a waffle mold. Well, his stubbornness was gone forever. Maria thought at first to break off the engagement, but pity for her unfortunate lover caused her to postpone the wedding day for a season and give him another trial. The very day before the wedding was to have taken place, Breckenridge, while absorbed in watching the flight of a balloon, walked into a well and fractured one of his legs. Had to be taken off above the knee. Well, again, Maria thought to break off the engagement, but again, true love triumphed, and she set the day forward and gave him another chance to reform. Once more, the wedding day approached, and once more, misfortune overshadowed. Carruthers lost an arm due to the premature discharge of the 4th of July cannon, and within 3 months got the other one pulled out of a revolving door. Well, poor Aurelia's heart was almost crushed by these latter calamities. She could not but be deeply grieved to see her lover passing from her by piecemeal. Yet, knowing no way to stop this dreadful career, she almost regretted, like a stockbroker who holds on and loses, that she hadn't cashed him in at first before he suffered such an alarming depreciation. But still, her brave soul bore her up. She resolved to bear with her friend's unnatural disposition yet a while longer. Once more, the time to be wed drew near. Once more, disappointment struck. This time, brothers fell ill with erysipelas and lost the use of one eye entirely. Well, the friends of the bride, considering she had put up with more than could reasonably be expected of her, now came forward and insisted that the match be broken off. But Aurelia, with a gentle spirit, did her credit, said she had reflected calmly on the matter and could not discover that Breckenridge was to blame. So once more, she extended the time, and he broke his other leg. Well, it was a sad day for the poor girl when she saw the surgeons reverently bearing away the body part bag, whose experiences had taught her its use. She knew that some more of her lover was gone. She felt the field of her affections was growing more and more circumscribed every day. But still she frowned down her friends and relatives and renewed her betrothal. Once again, the day of the nuptials came near, and once again disaster struck. There was only one man scalped by the Owens River Indians last year. That man was Williamson Breckenridge Carruthers of New Jersey. He was hurrying home with happiness in his heart when he lost his hair forever. Well, at last, Aurelia is in perplexity as to what she ought to do. She still loves her Breckenridge, she writes. Still loves what's left of him. what ought she to do? She asks with painful and anxious solicitude. Well, it is a delicate question. It is one that involves the lifelong happiness of a woman, and nearly 2/3 of a man. And I feel it would be assuming too great a responsibility to do more than make a mere suggestion in the case. How would it be for Maria to build to her unfortunate lover if she can afford the expense? You know, furnish him with wooden arms and wooden legs and a glass eye and a wig. Give him another show. Give him 90 days without grace. And if he does not break his neck in the meantime, marry him and take the chances. I don't think there's much of a risk, given his singular propensity for damaging himself every time he sees a good occasion. His next experiment's bound to finish him,